We left at 5 in the morning from Delhi, packed breakfasts in hand, and traveled 50 kilometers west of Delhi to the Sultanpur National Park and Bird Preserve. Once home of a thriving salt business in the 19th century, the abandoned ponds attract both resident and migratory birds, and became a national park in the 1970s. We had 9 in our group for this 16-day Birdquest Birds and Tigers tour. Ourselves, Warren and Tony from Australia, David and Elaine from England, Sandy from the US, and our 2 guides, our leader Hanu Jans from Finland, and Rinbir, our Indian guide. We spent over 3 hours walking the ponds and bird hides, adding 47 new birds to our life list. Driving the Great Circle route around New Delhi due to the traffic, we stopped at a dhaba, a roadside restaurant or truck stop, for lunch. Then over 6 grueling hours, driving into the foothills of the Himalayas, with one stop to see a wonderful group of Saris cranes at sunset. And a stop at an English wine shop. As we had already discovered, they are the only place to buy alcohol in northern India. We arrived at the Riverwild Lodge tired, hungry and thirsty, and I started my nightly ritual for the trip, processing photos and videos, and getting all 4 cameras recharged. Nestled in the foothills of the Himalayas and bordering the banks of the Koshi River, the Riverwild was our jumping-off point for the park. Starting with early morning birding on the Koshi River at the G. Reha Devi Temple. We walked along the river, distracted by the beauty of the sunrise. Our goal was for one of the major target birds of the trip, the ibisbill. It is in the same order as plovers, but so different it is a monotypic species in its own family. It is found only along rivers in the high plateau areas surrounding the Himalayas. We were also treated to many quality northern Indian birds, adding 15 new species to our life list. We traded our bus for jeeps, then headed toward Jim Corbett National Park, India's first national park, created in 1936. After a belligerent bureaucrat held up our entry for over an hour, we finally entered the park. Named for a famous tiger hunter turned environmentalist, the park is huge, and covers well over 300 square kilometers. It has forest, riparian, and grassland zones. We spotted many birds and animals on the drive to D. Kala, arriving at the forest lodge late in the afternoon. The rather Spartan lodge sits in grasslands at the end of the lake. We would quickly unpack and regroup for our first safari looking for birds and tigers. We traveled along the river, then fording it. We birded from the jeeps, since it is not allowed to get out of the vehicle. Unless you wanted to become tiger bait. We spotted many new bird species, and our first Indian elephants. Then the driver spotted a tiger track in the mud, following the direction of the prints. We came upon our first encounter with a tiger. A crowd of jeeps had already formed, watching a single young male sitting in the grass. He seemed quite content and happy, rolling around like a kitty cat, sunning himself. Then two more crossed the river. Glaring at the single one, and us. They walked toward him. He seemed not amused by their approach, jumping up and chasing the other two. All three disappeared into the grassland. What a way to end the day. We headed back to the lodge for dinner in the equally Spartan dining room, then watched the sunset over the lake and grassland filled with deer and antelope and elephants. The next morning was beautifully clear, but cold. We bundled up and piled into our jeeps at dawn, and headed out into the grasslands. Within minutes we encountered a roadblock. A family of elephants seemed to believe they owned the road. They moved over and we passed, only to have them return and come walking up behind us. Supplying a few tense moments.
Okay, we need to go.
Run fast.
You know what I mean? Okay, let's go. Okay, they're turning.
With the elephants back in the forest, we started birding as the sun rose. We birded first along the forest edge, which provided us with many opportunities. Then we headed toward the lake into the deep savanna-like grass to look for those specialities. We encountered many, with several high-quality finds. We returned to the forest lodge, packed up, then headed out to a new zone in the park, the biryani section. We had to leave and re-enter the park as there are no direct roads between the sections. Luckily, our re-entry was not as onerous. The drive was fairly short to our next lodge. The rather detention camp-looking biryani guest house, surrounded by tiger fencing. We had a minor thrash about room assignments. But soon we were unpacked and back in the jeeps for another safari. It was relatively quiet birding, with a few new species encountered, but our drivers spotted a large female tiger through the trees on the other side of the river. She was magnificent, probably the largest tiger we would see on the trip. Then we noticed little heads behind her. 2 cubs were visible. Then another larger tiger, probably a teenager, showed up. 4 tigers. Amazing. Then another juvenile jumped from the cliff above, Mom looking disapprovingly at it as it joined the rest. We had great views of an entire family of 5 tigers. We returned 2 minutes late to the compound and got scolded. Dinner was our introduction to egg curry, and we did some owling after. The next morning we packed up, sent our luggage ahead, and went out for one last birding safari. We were lucky to see the oriental pied hornbill, amongst other quality sightings. And extremely fortunate to see another of the major target birds of the trip, the great hornbill. We left Corbett adding 64 new birds to our life list, and having seen 8 tigers. We were now heading much, much higher into the Himalayas.